Hi, welcome to Laura's View in Tarot 2. I'm really glad you're here. Today's date is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. And in this video, I wanted to look at a recent balloting incident that happened in Brazil. There was a runoff balloting situation for the title of president. And according to the official results, the President Bolsanaro, did not win his bid for another term. I have to be careful what words I use. I'm sure you understand. Now, the people of Brazil are vociferously disagreeing with that. There are, out of the 26 states in Brazil, 18 of them have been brought to a standstill by protests in the street. And the people in Brazil are contesting those official results and asking that the military of Brazil intervene. Now, it's interesting to note that under their constitution, the military does have the right to intervene when there is suspected fraud in an election process. And I thought it might be interesting to look at and take a little rabbit trail with this and look at possibly a tie-in with our own 17 posts that happen here in the United States. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Today is the 5-year delta or anniversary, in case you're not familiar with the term, of this 17 post that talks about using logical thought, and the only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread, okay? And a few days later, there's another, a November 5th, we're coming up on the 5th of November, there's another delta or anniversary of another reference to U.S. military, savior of mankind, we will never forget, Fantasyland, God save us all. Okay, so the one for the 5th specifically specifies U.S. military. But the one for November 1st does not. It merely talks about military is the only way. Now, I did want to share one other thing with you. This comment here that I've got ready says supporters of President Bolsonaro are paralyzing 18 of 26 states in Brazil with massive protests and roadblocks. A battle is now being waged between the Federal Supreme Court of Brazil and its police and military forces, who are so far refusing to break up these massive protests. If he so chooses, President Bolsonaro does have the authority under Article 142 of the Brazil Constitution to issue an emergency decree to his military forces to intervene in the domestic affairs of his nation. The military has the right to insert itself into an election where there is suspected fraud. Now, this is not the only country that has had that situation happen. There has been probably no major election in the last decade where there hasn't been concern about fraud. And it's turned out time and time again that that concern is justified. Well, what I wanted to do, and it's also interesting to note that just like our wonderful number 45, President Bolsonaro has not conceded the election. He's also kind of gone silent on mainstream media. So let's ask the cards. I want to come back and see, is there a correlation between those 17 posts in Brazil where we've always assumed military is the only way was speaking only of the United States? Because other countries that have had contested balloting situations, for example, Myanmar, you notice how that's fallen out of the news? They're still under martial law and will be until now 2023 as they sort out their balloting issues and come to a place of being able to hold a fair and non-corrupted balloting situation. And so that's how they handled theirs. In America, we were a little more passive, except for the J6 demonstration, which I want to make one comment about that J6. I've got to make it carefully. I think the rule of law should be applied only to the extent it's applied to the mostly peaceful protests that were held that same year all across the country by Antifa and BLM. If people that did that level of damage and that level of mayhem had no legal repercussions after their actions, neither should the J6 people. I don't care where that happened. But if those mostly peaceful protests, because when I look at a comparison, there's no comparison. These are way less peaceful, no repercussions. Okay? So the J6 people should never have been put in the situation and incarcerated for the extent and length that they have, or they shouldn't have been incarcerated at all. At all. That's my opinion on the matter. This is Laura's view. Let's ask the cards, though. We've always assumed that the 17th post, talking about military is the only way, kind of probably referred to America. Is it inclusive of other countries? And is there other information specific to the Brazil situation that the universe would want to share with us? So is it reasonable to assume that military references could include other countries? And is there other information the universe wants us to know? Let's find out. Okay, universe, what do you want us to know about military is the only way? Is it more than just within our own shores? And is there information about the Brazil situation that the universe would like us to know? Information or insights? Let's see. By the way, I apologize for leaving it on share screen so long when I was speaking. This is a home production, so it's far from perfect. And I speak without a script. I might make a few notes, but I speak without a script. So you get what you get, folks. Okay. Our first card is the Devil. Then the Hermit. Looks like an important question. Three of Swords. Knight of Pentacles. Ten of Swords. Nine of Pentacles. King of Swords. So we're not getting a hard yes to our question of, are those 17 posts referencing more militaries than just that in the United States? We are getting a confirmation, though, that those balloting processes have been extremely corrupted in more countries than just my own. And this is a White Hat Alliance card. It's also sometimes indicative of off-world, future self, or other energy that's kind of working with the white hats. It's always good to look where he's pointing at. And he's pointing at a card I'm going to talk about in just a minute. He's pointing at the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, in the recent past, we have the Three of Swords for this particular balloting situation as well as others. And this is a card of heartache and lies. So yes, that election process was extremely fraud filled, and the people's requesting their military to intervene and conduct an audit seems to be a fair and reasonable one. And we have that bolstered here by the present card of the Knight of Pentacles is a military card. It is one of extreme stability and dependability. And so we're being reassured, at least for Brazil, that if the military is asked to intervene and perform that audit, it will be done. It will be done and overseen and done with integrity, which their balloting process has not really enjoyed yet. Okay, looking ahead to the near future, we have the Ten of Swords, which tens are an ending of something. And so the end of this is coming up for them. This corrupted balloting procedure is coming to a close. Hopefully it can be done without bloodshed. Just folks simply have a fair audit and see what the majority of the constituents voted for. Boom. Seems so simple, doesn't it? Okay, we have the Nine of Pentacles for a clarification card. This is a card of love, abundance, all things material. So, and I think we're talking, since we were asking about that balloting and those were actually physical ballots, that the outcome is one that will be very beneficial and good, and one that will be conducive to the white hats. You know, Mr. Bolsonaro, as my title implies, is sometimes called the tropical Trump. And Mr. T is definitely in the white hat category. Okay. So I think that audit needs to be done. It needs to be done by the military. They have cause to intervene. I think that those 17 posts, well, without a heart, where, you know, if the shoe fits, wear it, since they do seem to need to intervene here. And those posts have said military is the only way. I think when it hasn't been specifying US, that was kind of an understanding that we could come to and not be wrong on. Okay, there is some conflict involved here. As we know, deep state or people that have done shenanigans, they want to get away with it. They're going to do everything they can, and they do have the mainstream news in their back pocket to spin this. But too many of us are awake and thinking critically and logically for it to have much success long term. Okay, and then we have 4 cups for a little more clarification here. A card of reevaluation. So yes, they need to reevaluate those results, do them honestly and with integrity, and see if indeed their beloved President Bolsonaro gets that second term that apparently the majority of his constituents wish for. So in various locations across our planet, we're seeing times and ways that there seems to be shenanigans in balloting procedures. We're seeing different ways it's handled. I think one of our takeaways from this can be that if the military is the only way, and the military openly comes into play as it has in Myanmar, it hasn't been detrimental to the general public in excess, apparently, of what it would have been to let the shenanigans regime get into office and play there. Okay. In our own country, there's talk that there's other factors at play, that things have actually been overturned. But the reality is, the shenanigans administration is being allowed to do a lot of damage. So I personally would almost rather have the open and integrity involvement of military and making sure that, because they do, their vow is to protect and preserve not just our Constitution, but to the citizens. And so let's keep our eyes on Brazil and see how they resolve this. I would be very surprised if they allow a shenanigans puppet to assume office, as seems to have been the case here. Let's see how they play it out, and we may end up envying them for being more proactive and more openly dealing with situations than seems to have happened here in my country. So I wish those people in Brazil all the best. As they protest, please do it safely, do it legally, make your voices heard and known, your wishes known. And God bless their military, who so far aren't stopping those protests, because people have a right to their opinion, and they should peacefully be able to voice that opinion peacefully and safely, no matter where they are or what they're doing. As long as it's peaceful, as long as it's safe, it should be allowed. That seems to me to be an inalienable human right, no matter what your citizenship is. If it's not, it should be. That's it for this video. Oh, thank you so much for putting up with so much of Laura's view. I do appreciate that very, very much. And let's send our positive intentions and prayers to the people of Brazil, that they can have a resolution that truly serves the wishes of the majority, and have that happen as peacefully as possible. And let's get our planet back, guys. Let's get our planet back. Let's get humanity on the path it's intended to be, and stop this BS with all the doubles, the fakes, the clones, the sham puppet governments. Let's just stop it all and get real and get to work on improving humanity and the path we're on. Good God, how hard is this? That's it for me. Thank you so much. Until next time, I wish you love. I send you light and all things good. Good night.